I've refreshed it. Okay, all right, fine. Can you hear me? Please respond yes in the chat window if yes. Great, all right. So welcome everyone to this session on executive coaching, how it helps organizations excel, right? So what do you think is executive coaching? Firstly, let's begin with that. Hi. Yeah, please answer the question in the chat window. What do you think is executive coaching? How to be a leader, all right? Any other responses? How to manage a team, all right? So if I were to sum up or explain executive coaching in just one line, all right, it's a process or a methodology, all right, of empowering individuals with the right mindset and habits so that they can solve their own problems, right? Let me just put this into the chat window so that it's ready available here, right? So it's basically empowering individuals. Now, please note here, in the corporate world and in general, people think that coaching is mentoring or it's counseling. It's not, right? That these are three very different methodologies used for talent development, right? I'll explain the difference to you in short. So the coaching is more of a one-to-one relationship, and it's more like a peer-to-peer relationship, wherein the coach might, irrespective of the coach's experience level, whether the coach is 10 years experience or 20 years experience, right? When I'm interacting as a coach with my coachee, I am a peer. I'm not above him or lower or below him, right? Whereas in mentoring generally is more of a senior person talking to a junior person. The relationship is more of a specialist to a junior or to a fresher, right? And counseling is again an expert psychologist or psychiatrist talking to a client, right? So this is the difference between coaching, counseling, and mentoring. So coaching essentially is more of a one-to-one and a peer-driven relationship, right? And before we go ahead, let me introduce myself, all right? So my name is Percy Ved, and I come with around 20 years of experience across leadership roles in the corporate world. I have been a leader in corporate world myself. I've handled HR, I've handled operations, I've handled several roles across departments and sectors. And I've been a coach for the last 5 years in different capacities. And currently I have my own setup and I coach people across the world. And my coachees are entrepreneurs, company directors, they are CXOs, they are students, right? So I have an entire varied set of coaches that I work with across the world, and I help them overcome the challenges, right, through sessions that we take. So that's a brief about me. Before we go ahead, do you want to know anything else about me? Do you have any questions for me on my profile or on me as a professional before we proceed? If you have, just respond to the chat window. All right. So since there are no responses, then I assume that my introduction is done, and let's proceed. Right. So no, I saw two words in the responses. One is leader, and the other is managing a team and managing change. Three very interesting statements. Now the next question I have for you is how many of you all are corporate employees, and how many do you have any freshers here? Do you have any students in this? Okay, so Suresh asked the question, as a founder, how do you become better at managing a team? Well, first, thanks for the question, all right? But we'll answer that in the course of the session, right? So just hold on to your question for the time being. We will come to questions in a bit, right? So my next question for you all is, what are the main challenges which organizations face today? Hi, Vignesh. So Vignesh, today's class is going to cover executive coaching. What is it, and how does it help organizations excel? Okay, Vignesh, that's the topic for today's session. Yeah. So my question is, what challenges do organizations face today? Give me top 3 challenges, and you can respond in the chat window. I repeat, what are the top 3 challenges which are faced by organizations? All right. So Vignesh says hiring. All right. Okay. funding, all right, and money. So funding and money essentially means the same thing, I would assume. And I have a third one. And when I talk of organizations, I don't mean only startups, okay? I mean startups as well as established companies. Okay, motivating people, very good. Okay. And apart from this, the biggest challenge that companies and startups face, is managing change, right? Handling change, right? And change is one thing is constant, right? It's the only thing that's constant in life, especially in the corporate space, right? So can anyone tell me why is it that change is such a big challenge for startups as well as established companies? So why do you think change is one of the biggest challenges faced by companies and startups? Please respond in the chat window. Culture, all right, perfect. Vijay, very good. So Vijay says because of culture. Okay. Anything else? Any other factors which are driving change? Old guard, perfect, very important. Old guard. Thanks, Suresh, for the response. Right. So there is a saying, right? If the rate of change outside exceeds the rate of change inside, all right, the end is near. There's a saying in the corporate world which goes that if the rate of change outside is higher than the rate of change inside the company, the end is near. Okay. So what do you mean by this? What do you understand by this statement that I just explained? When the rate of change outside the company, as in the marketplace, is higher than the rate of change within the company, the end is near. So what do you understand by this statement? Anyone? Okay. So what this statement means is that we are living in an ever-changing business environment, right? The business environment is dynamic, keeps changing. And when I say business environment, I mean customers, clients, your consumers, right? Competitors, even employees, right? So as the dynamic environment keeps changing, the crucial question for employees and for company management and leadership is, are we changing fast enough? Are we keeping up with the change? Right? And if you have to look at the stock market and look at the performance of companies, if you see around 25 years back, leading brands in India, right, 90% of those brands have disappeared. And same thing even in the US markets. Even if you look at the US stock market, right, around 25 years back, the leading companies in the top 50, 100 Forbes list, they have all changed. 90% of the companies have changed. And this has happened in just the last 25 years. Right? So this tells you how critical and how crucial managing change is for companies in the corporate world. And when I say companies, I mean everyone. I mean small companies, SMEs, startups, family-owned businesses, traditional houses, right? So all of these, right? So now that we understand that change is such a big part of our lives in the corporate world, right? And that managing change is one major challenge which companies face. Okay. What do you think is the main criteria to handle change? Or let me say, what are the two main criteria which enables prudent change management within companies and helps them excel? Okay, so if the company is not able to keep up with one changes, it won't be able to care to anyone. People only live. Perfect. All right. So someone responded that if the company doesn't change, it will not survive. Absolutely bang on target. But my question is, when it comes to organizational change, what are the two main components or two main inputs which actually help a company manage change and excel in the ever-changing dynamic environment, especially in today's world, post-COVID world? Like there's a major change. So first, when COVID happened, people had to change overnight. We all had to get used to the lockdown and get used to working from home. And now it's been 2 years, people have got used to it, and now again we are changing back to the old ways. when we are working, we are asking people to come back to the physical work environment, right? So what are the two components or two inputs which will help companies manage this transition right now? Right. So it is going to be culture, and secondly leadership. Right. So these are the two main components of change which support the entire. Which on these are the two wheels on which the entire change management initiative, all right, it rests: culture and leadership. Now, have you heard of a management expert called Peter Drucker? Have you heard of? No, all right. So Peter Drucker essentially is a management expert and strategy expert, and he's one of the best. He's one of the leading brains, or you can say leaders, an expert in organizational development, strategy, right, and culture. So what he says is that now he says that culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? I repeat, he says that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So what he means is that if there's an organization, and if the organization is not very good at a strategy, let's say they have miscalculated something, they are not good at, they have, let's say they have misplaced their marketing budget, they have not understood their clients very well. But if the internal culture is strong, the culture is set up to actually promote ethical behavior. It promotes performers. It encourages people to be open with each other. It encourages collaboration within the company. Right, the company will still thrive irrespective of what happens on the strategic side. Right. So what he says is that culture plays a pivotal role in success in an ever-changing dynamic environment. So irrespective of what happens outside, if the company has a strong culture, right, it will be able to overcome challenges, whether it is change, whether it is leadership, or whether it is to do with changing markets, right, issues of fundraising, issues of sudden shifts in geopolitical environment, like we are seeing right now in Ukraine, right? Now, so what happens is, suppose there's an issue in Ukraine, right? Now, for example, we import a lot of our fertilizers from there. So fertilizer companies, right, their raw material inputs which come from that part of the world, right, they will get impacted. So that's a major change, right? So how do they overcome that overnight suddenly? So these kind of geopolitical shocks, external cultural issues can be resolved if the internal work environment within the company encourages ethical behavior, it encourages collaboration between teams, it encourages open communication, and where employees feel that they can actually speak up and voice their opinions openly, right? So this is all very good said, very well said and done, right? But the biggest challenge that companies face is two, in my experience. One is that today companies are used to working in silos, right? So departments don't of leadership, right? So there's a big crisis of leadership in the corporate world today, whether it is startups or whether it is established companies, right? And there are very few companies in India which can actually lay claim to having leadership talent within the company, except for a few companies, maybe the Tatas and the Mahindras of the world. There aren't many companies in India which actually are able to find leadership talent within the company itself, right? And this creates a big problem because leadership is one crucial element of the entire organizational cycle and to ensure success and excellence within the company. So what happens is eventually they go outside to hire talent, and that is where the challenge and that is where the entire problem starts. So what happens is, suppose you have a company, right, which has been around for some time, whether it's a startup or an organization, and they essentially have a leadership role which has opened up due to expansion or due to attrition, and then they realize that within the company they don't have talent to fill that leadership role within, and then they go outside, right? Now what happens here? Firstly, when you go outside, talent becomes more expensive, so you end up spending a lot more to hire external talent. You get someone from outside you put the person into the role. That person will take at least 6 months to get used to the organizational culture. That is another 6 months lost in opportunity cost, right? Then that person has to gel with the leadership team. That takes another equal amount of time, right? So what happens is that that getting leaders from outside, hiring them from outside or fill leadership roles within, right? That creates sort of heartburn within the company. So employees feel that here we don't have growth because whenever there's a leadership role opens up, you have someone from outside coming in, and so the leadership growth cycle stops, and the company management gets used to a culture wherein they just hire from outside. And this is the easiest thing to do. It is convenient, right? The difficult part is building culture and leadership within the company, so that it breeds excellence within, right? And coaching is one critical input which helps companies excel here, right? So when it comes to leadership and culture, all right, coaching you can say coaching is a tool which helps to bring these two together. It helps to build a culture which produces leaders within the system, within the organization, right? Yes, Arya, you're right. Arya says that you can't always hire from within. You're absolutely correct, Arya, and that is the problem. The question is, why can't you? What is stopping companies from doing that, right? What is the challenge? And I'll tell you, the challenge is developing leadership potential within, right? And this is where the challenge is. Now, again, here, at least in India, companies have started taking coaching seriously because they realize that coaching is one developmental input which can help managers develop leadership potential faster and with measurable results, right? In the olden, before this COVID era, all right, companies used to look at training to build leadership, but they realize that training interventions are temporary. You can't, you send someone for a 2-day training program on leadership, and you can't expect a person to come and become a leader, right? Developing leadership potential is a process. It takes at least 6 to 7 months, at least, to build up leadership potential and competencies to help someone develop that potential, right? And this is where coaching helps. Now, the question is, how does coaching operate? How does it work? So, coaching essentially is a one-to-one relationship, right? And the reason why coaching is very effective is because it is highly customized. Unlike other unlike other developmental interventions, whether it is training or mentoring or counseling, right? Coaching is a scientifically process-driven methodology, right? Which the methodology is scientific and it is highly customizable, right? So if I am to coach a Arya or a Vijay or a Vivian, these are names I'm just picking up from the chat list, right? So my coaching sessions or initiatives with all three will be customized to their personality, will be customized to their strengths and weaknesses, which doesn't happen in mentoring or in training or in counseling, right? So that is what differentiates coaching as a developmental tool which helps organizations excel. How does it work? So suppose I am retained by a company to develop leadership potential of their mid managers. Let's say they shortlist 3 high performers, and they approach me and they ask me to help develop their leadership potential. So what happens? The first step is that I essentially will sit with them, with the coaches and the management team, and I try to understand what are the areas they're looking for. So they might have, so let's say Arya might have a challenge in time management. Okay, Vijay might have a challenge in handling people, and Vivian might have a challenge, let's say, of handling projects. Right? So each one has different challenges. Now these are only symptomatic. The real causes are hidden behind the scenes. And the reason why coaching really is very effective is because firstly, coaching always delivers results, right? It delivers results because it is highly customized, right? And it can be tracked. You can track coaching results real-time basis. So what happens is, suppose we have 3 sessions with Arya, right? After 3 sessions, then I will if Arya's sponsor, who might be her boss or it could be CXO of the company, right? He or she can talk to me and ask me. So firstly, what is the progress on the coaching intervention with Arya? What is the progress she's making, right? And I'll be able to share my observations as to how is Arya changing, what are the results, what am I seeing in the coaching, and then my comments or my inputs can be compared to what is Arya displaying on the floor with people, and her boss can then go and talk to people on the floor and say, has Arya changed over the last month or so? Has she shown any change in her behavior? And this makes coaching measurable. So you can actually notice, or you can actually track behavioral changes of coaches in their interactions with clients, in the interactions with employees and the team members. right? So this is how coaching helps to build a culture of excellence. And what happens is when organizations actually invest in development of their internal talent, it creates a precedent. It creates an example. So when Arya is being shortlisted for coaching development within her organization, Arya's team members, right, Arya's peers, they will notice. They know what the company is investing in in Arya's development. They have assigned her a coach, and the coach is working with Arya, on a weekly basis to help her improve on her leadership potential. And this creates a major it creates a major moral booster. It's like a moral booster within the company. And when others see they also realize that the company is interested in developing their leadership potential. And after the intervention gets over, and Arya shows a noticeable change in her overall output, productivity, and in the way she's handling people, and she's now showing improvement in the way she handles herself. And then when the leadership role opens up at the top, that is when companies, when they scan the internal talent, they will say, what, last year we had these three people go through coaching. So let's pick up these, let's give them a chance. And that is when an Arya will get a chance to prove herself. And the company would not have to go outside to fill the leadership opening opportunity that has opened up at the top. So this is how coaching actually helps build internal talent. Apart from building leadership talent, another major challenge is also about managing change. Now, what happens is that many times dynamics change, right? Now, for example, we're talking about metaverse, right? The latest technological change that's going to hit us in the next 2 to 3 years. Now, if the metaverse really works out well, right, it will completely transform the way we do business. Completely transform. It will transform the way we work. It will transform the way we sell our products. It will transform the way HR operates. Okay, and this will bring about a major shock. So whenever there's a change, external change that happens, the first response, human response, is shock. Matlab, the company gets shocked. People get shocked that, oh no, this has changed suddenly. Now what do we do, right? And the answer to what do we do, right? That question is asked to the leadership. Employees start asking their managers, what, boss, this has changed. Now what do we do? What is the answer? And many times managers don't have ready answers, right? And leaders don't have ready answers. That they are also struggling. They are also struggling to cope up with the change. And this is where again coaching helps, right? So a coach will essentially help the leadership and employees to cope with the change, right? Again, even managing change also is a process, right? There are several stages through which a human being goes through when managing change, either at a personal level or at a professional level. So a coach essentially will help you navigate this very complicated journey of coping with the change, right? Of coming to terms with the change, and then of actually leading it, actually not just managing it but leading it, right? So these are the two factors, these are the two areas in which executive coaching can help organizations excel. One is developing internal leadership talent, and secondly, helping them actually cope up with change, right? So this is where I want to close my session. Right now, I'm open to questions. So I'm going to answer questions. All right. So Meena asks a question: how often do you think you should go for executive coaching sessions? So Meena, this question is there's no ready answer for this, right? This depends on the challenge you are facing or the company is facing. So it depends. Now, generally, what I do is that I have a package of 12 sessions because it takes minimum 12 sessions to change someone's behavior. And these are done on a weekly basis, spread over 4 months, generally. But having said that, it might change. So if the person I'm coaching needs more time, then the 12 sessions could stretch to even 20 sessions. And how often, it again depends. Generally for coaching basis, essentially is done to bring about behavioral change, right, in certain areas. So I can't coach someone to become a better human being. So that doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. So when I'm coaching with an organization, I try and define the observable results that you want. So now my first question will be, what do you want to see changed in this person? What do you want this person to improve on? Right? And I generally work with 2 or 3 areas. So I don't work in more than 3 areas. All right, Meena? So how often? It depends on the challenge you're facing, and also depends on what competencies you want to change or habits you want to target. Okay, so Karthik asks, as a startup founder, I don't have much money to afford coaching just yet. Any suggestions how to go about it? So Karthik, don't worry, right? Coaching is not that expensive. It's not as expensive you think it is. All right, so don't worry about it, but it's worth the investment, right? It's worth the investment. The returns you will get are phenomenal. Just imagine, Karthik, if you are a founder, and if you want to coach yourself, suppose you want to get coached yourself, or you want to coach one of your leaders, organizational leaders. Let's say if you have a leader who's handling business development or handling client interactions, and this person, let's say, is struggling with certain aspects of that role, and let's say you get a coach to help him or her overcome those challenges. Imagine the impact it will have on your business, Karthik, right? So the coaching investment, suppose you spend X amount on coaching on coaching that person, and that person is able to overcome those challenges. Just imagine the benefit that your organization will draw out from, right? And if that person is able to start handling clients more effectively, so that if the person before coaching was getting 4 on 10 rating from clients, after coaching that person starts getting 8 on 10 rating from clients. Just imagine the impact it will create on your business, and the returns you will get would be 100x the amount you spent on coaching that person. So coaching is not very expensive. It is perfect. It is very, very affordable, right? The important thing, Karthik, is to get the right coach. The most important thing in coaching is the right coach, because even coaches also are different types of coaches, right? So getting the right fit is very important. So Geeta asks, I run a non-profit and I have lots of experience. Is coaching applicable even for someone who's had a lot of experience? Yes, Geeta. Coaching doesn't have experience is not related to coaching, right? You might be a 60-year-old person, but you might still have a life coach help you understand where you are in life and overcome the challenges. So coaching works for everyone, right? From students to retired people or people who are very senior. It doesn't make a difference who the person is or his or her background, because coaching is it's a very objective kind of process. It's a scientific process, and it can be customized to the person's personality, background. All right, Geeta. So don't worry about that. Yamini has a question. I am not an executive, but feel that I could use a coach as well as to grow a career. Is there a difference between coaches and mentors? Yes, Yamini. Coaching and mentoring are very different, right? As I explained initially, coaching is a coach basically empowers you to overcome your own challenges. A coach will not advise you. Coaching is not advising. A coach will not spoon feed you advice that do this, do that. The coach will essentially help you develop the right mindset to overcome the challenges, and to, in your case, to decide the right career option. Right? There is a mentor, is someone who's a specialist, and a mentor will give advice. Right? A coach will not give advice. A coach will help you build the mindset so that you are empowered to solve your own problems. And that is why coaching is long lasting. The impact of coaching is long lasting. So once you go through coaching, then you will see the results. The benefit will last for years to come, because you have developed the right mindset to solve your own problems. Right? Okay. So Meena says, thanks a lot for the session and answering my questions. You're welcome, Meena. So are there any more questions? If not, then we can maybe wrap up this session. Thank you, Geeta. Thanks for being a good participant. All right. So thank you so much for being a great audience. All right. And I hope I have been able to clear your doubts and add value to your understanding of how coaching can help organizations excel. Thank you so much. And if you have any doubts, you can contact me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. You can add me there. Thank you so much. Take care.